Today's guest is Travis Malin of Dekes Waterfowl. If you guys aren't following Dekes Waterfowl, you need to be. Travis is a super talented photographer, takes a lot of photos of dogs, tons of hunting content. He works with major brands in the waterfowl industry, and he's been a big inspiration for me. And I've been with Dekes Waterfowl since about 2017. We talk about that quite a bit in today's episode and a lot of the stuff that Travis has going on. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Too Many Hobbies podcast. I'm your host, Brian Althorpe. Tonight, we're going to have my buddy, Travis Malin, on. Travis, how you doing?
Good, buddy.
So Travis has been a huge influence on me and my waterfowl photography since I started with Dekes Waterfowl, 4 years ago now? It's been a while.
2017,
Yeah.
So it might be even 6 years now. Yeah.
Jeez. Well, and we're just flying through this thing. But how about you tell these guys a little bit about Dekes Waterfowl and specifically Dekes, where the name comes from?
So Dekes Waterfowl is it's just a waterfowl company that we started in 2017. It's an outfitting service, so we do guided waterfowl hunts, upland hunts, etc. And of course, as you got the ball rolling and things turn into things, I guess, so to speak, started doing photography more geared towards the outdoors because I wanted images of what we were doing, for marketing purposes.
Right.
And then went from that, and of course we've always done waterfowl dogs. That's kind of part of the game.
Yeah.
So we had a really special dog, and he's still alive. Dekes is his name, and so we named the company Dekes Waterfowl, and it's just kind of taken off, and it has done what it's done, But
right.
We offer puppies, we breed our dogs, and then we do our outfitted hunts, and we still do some online stuff, but I don't know how long that will continue, or maybe we'll get back into it. We'll see where the road takes us.
Now you're in the Pacific Northwest, so what are the biggest places that you're guiding, or like what terrains and areas are you hunting mostly?
It's mostly we do field hunts. We do upland. It's kind of just kind of depends, but we hunt out of a hunt club as well for upland hunts, so they subcontract us. And then for waterfowl hunts, you'll have anything from field hunts as far as like pivots and circles and everything else, cut corn to winter wheat, all that nonsense, to just hunting the big public land hunting, the big Columbia River. We'll do guided hunts on the Columbia River. So,
and what species are you guys mostly targeting on the Columbia River?
That's the coolest thing about the Columbia is you can shoot almost everything. I do the Hunt 41.
Yep. Yep.
And I think I'm 23 species in, and that's all right here.
That's crazy.
No traveling involved, and I haven't even shot. There's birds here that I haven't claimed on the challenge since I started, because I started it when I was 37 years old.
Right.
But there's still birds here that are local that I can absolutely claim on there when I shoot them once again.
Right.
But you can shoot divers, you can shoot puddle ducks, you can shoot snow geese, dark geese. You can shoot just about anything here. You don't get into the big sea ducks or anything like that locally right here, but you can travel a few hours and do that. So
yeah. So how far off of the ocean are you actually?
About 5 hours.
Okay, that's not terrible.
No.
Not like I'd have to travel. When we did a sea duck hunt out in Massachusetts, it was like 13-hour drive. So you're way closer than me.
Who do you go with?
His name is Randy Drago from Codfather Guide Service.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the greatest thing I've ever been a part of. Like, he is just top notch. He was the one that took Jeff Coates out for the Drake episode that Jeff was actually hunting out of a layout boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we ended up like hunting the same spot that he took Jeff for eiders, and it was just such a cool experience. Like we get scoters here and there on Lake Erie, but like we don't see sea ducks for the most part. Like we get old squaws here and there if you want to consider them sea ducks, but like
I do.
we don't get we don't get eiders. Like I said, maybe a couple scoter you'll see throughout the season, but like I wanted to go down and get a Drake eider for the wall. So
okay.
Yeah, so we made that trip, but it was way further than going 5 hours.
The problem is like we're only 5 hours away, but if I'm gonna make the trip, I want to make it worth it.
Right.
Because I want to hit those birds off that list. So I've reached out to some guides that are successful. They don't like taking other guides hunting.
Really?
Believe it or not. Yeah. So because I own an outfitting service, I guess they see it as competition, but I'm never ever gonna go do that. That's just not my thing.
Yeah, it's way too far.
Yeah, I'll hunt them by myself or with a friend, but to think that I'm gonna be competition is insane because I'm not making that drive. You know.
Well, it's so much extra work to try and like
Yeah.
scout those birds and scout the areas that you could even get to on the ocean, and let alone that have the gear that you need. Like I don't know well you don't have a very deep boat, right?
Nope. I have a 18-foot modified V. You know, so it's
Right, so that's not gonna work.
not.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go on the. I'm guessing. I'm just assuming, but some of those the rivers that pour into the Pacific Ocean, you know,
Okay.
you're getting diver or sea ducks flying up those.
Right.
So yeah, I could go hunt. I'm just not going to. It doesn't make any sense. I have a full-time job on top of this stuff, so
Right.
I'm not
Like
putting that
all
much
of
effort
us.
into it. Yeah, I'm not putting that much effort into it. I'll pay somebody that can help me be successful, so I can do this once or twice, maybe, you know, and then maybe it'll be something that's so fun that I come do more often. But
Right.
I got news for you. I will never ever move to a coastal area.
Right.
I have too OCD and getting salt on my vehicles with any rust. A body shop every other week because I'd see a flake of rust. You know,
Right. Yeah.
I couldn't do it. No way. No.
Yeah.
So I'm not competition.
That's crazy. Have you guys ever seen Barros golden eyes in the Columbia?
They're here. Yeah, I had a guy shoot one with me one day. He was immature. I was still a little jealous.
Yeah.
But if you actually go inland, our friends over in Idaho shoot them left and right.
On the Snake River?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's where I go to try to get mine. I was there a couple years ago doing a hunt with some of the folks from 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐸𝐺.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and Mike Klein, who owns Dryfoot Outfitters, you know, he in Idaho you can't guide people on public land; it's illegal.
Got it. Okay.
You know, but Mike's like, "Hey, we're just gonna do a buddy hunt tomorrow if you want to stay an extra day."
Yeah.
I was like, "No, I can't. I gotta work." You know, so I had to drive home and go to work the next day. So I drove home and went to work the next day. And about 8 a.m., Mike sends me a picture with 2 dead Barros golden eyes, and I'm like, "Shut up!" You know, you gotta be kidding me.
That's awful.
But that's the way it works. You know, then
Yeah.
that's at like my boss rolls in like an hour later, and I just got a new manager, right? A new boss. They rotate people around all the time.
Yeah.
And of course I knew him already, but he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, just kicking my own self in the butt, you know, for not staying in Idaho and hunting an extra day." He's like, "What happened?" And I told him the story. And he's a hunter, so he gets it, right? And he's like,
Okay. Yeah.
"Man, why don't you just call me and tell me you needed an extra day?"
You're like, don't tell me that now.
Shut up. You know, so yeah.
That's insane. And how?
They shoot them over there a lot.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, like I've heard of people that shoot to Barros quite a bit in Idaho, which is just crazy to think. But like, I had a guest on the previous episode of this, and he travels from Ohio to the Snake River because his wife's from Idaho, and like
Okay.
they stay out there for months, and they just absolutely demolish birds on that river.
I love the Snake River. I love Snake River hunting. You know, the first time I ever hunted it was with 𝐥𝐤𝐤 from Foul Weather Calls.
Okay, yeah, yep,
And it was just we got spoiled. You know, the
yeah,
first day was all right. I mean, it was slow actually, but I still had fun. It was a different experience. You know,
right,
every time you go somewhere new, and for me, and I'm sure it's the same for you, it's no longer about limits, right?
right,
That
yep,
I've passed that stage of my life.
yep, of
Now it's all about the experience and all
course, yep,
about memories and all that stuff. And so the first day I think we shot, I don't remember. It was a slow day, but it was at least, 7 or 8 ducks,
right,
and it was like, and he was apologizing, sorry, it's so slow, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, don't ever apologize to me. We could shoot 0 ducks. I don't care, you
right,
know? Um, for me, it's gotten to be about A, taking pictures,
yep,
and B, watching dogs work.
yep,
You know, that's it. That's all I care about. So,
right,
of course, it makes it really easy to take dog pictures if there's the ducks, but
of course, yeah,
I'll take dog pictures if they're sitting in their crate or if
right,
they're blind. I don't care.
yeah,
So, um, the first hunt was all right, and then the second day we made some adjustments and just went downriver a little bit,
okay,
and it was a smoke show. So it was fast and fun, and
yeah,
and the way the golden eyes react on their river versus the way they react on the Columbia River is, I tell people all the time, because hunting them here in the Columbia is challenging. So I tell them, if you want to hunt golden eyes, if that's what you want to do, go to the Snake River.
right,
And I can't even believe they're the same bird because they respond completely different,
yeah,
and it's the way they fly. I mean, they fly in huge groups,
yeah,
and here you're picking them off, and you know, onesies, twosies, maybe a small group, but
right,
they're here. There's a lot of goldeneye here. There's not very many Barros, but there's a lot of just common goldeneye here.
yeah.
But to hunt them on the Snake River is a whole different world, and
That's
it's
what it sounds
fun.
like. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get like late season here, the golden eyes push down in the Lake Erie, and like we'll get them in either groups of like you said, like not generally singles. They'll mostly fly in pairs if they come in, but it'll be like fours, five, six, whatever, or they'll come in groups of like 20. And it's
Yeah.
just like you're completely not expecting it. But like by the time they make it down here, dude, they've got a bulletproof vest of fat, and they're just like they're impossible. Like
Yeah.
I've seen people chase them in layout boat, like layout boat hunting tenders,
Yep.
shoot a whole box at a golden line and not die. Like they don't give up.
I think goldeneye hens are the toughest bird on the planet. I don't know
I would
why.
believe it.
I just I've back when I would hunt out on my aquapod. I don't remember like some of the pictures I have of that thing.
Yeah.
I would hunt out the aquapod and I would chase those freaking hens all the way across that Columbia River
Yeah.
and just like watching them dive and come back up as they're crippled. Like
Yeah.
now it's a little easier in a motorized boat. Like I'm getting
Right.
you little sucker, but
Yeah.
um, in a paddle boat, that'll hunt right.
No, not happening.
No,
So when you started hunting, were you always hunting on the Columbia River?
I'm trying to think that far back. No, there's a couple of there's a refuge here, and there's a couple refuges, and then there's um some tribal land that allows you to hunt that we
Okay,
would go to. It's like it's the same thing as hunting a WMA. It's a draw system.
got it.
Um, I think if I remember correctly, my first hunt was at one of those places.
Okay,
But that was a long, long time ago, and that's where we started, and we hunted the Columbia River as well. But as far as the first hunt was not on the Columbia, but my first year was spent on the Columbia as well. Yes.
okay, okay.
So I've learned the Columbia. I've learned the migration patterns of the birds, and then when I can expect them to see them in this place, and when I can expect to see them in this place. And if they're not here, then I could probably assume that they're going to be here.
Right.
And and just kind of follow them around.
Yeah, I mean that's the progression of it. Like you start
Yep.
to learn the area and then you start to pattern the migration, and that's when you really start to like learn the areas that you're hunting.
Yep. Learn the food sources. If you find the food sources, that's when you find what the ducks are really doing. It's like,
Exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
I know if they make this crop corn one year, and then next year it's gonna be potatoes. It just depends on
Right.
where the crops are and what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I know where the widgeon are gonna be, where the bluebills are gonna be, etc.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. What made you like to make the change from just fun hunting to guiding?
There's a couple of factors actually. One was I just kind of wanted something for my children. Like
Okay.
I don't want them to have to work for the man if they don't have to.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, it can be prosperous and you can make a great living doing it. I do, but I would like them not to have to. I want them to have that option of, oh, I can train dogs with my dad, or I can breed dogs, or I can be an outfitter if I want to.
Right.
You know, none of this stuff that I do is built for me to retire on. I'd
Right.
like to, but it's for them.
Got it.
And that's where it started. My previous job, I won't mention the name of the employer, but I worked a lot and put a lot of effort into it, and it was always for them.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I, I won't take everything away from them because they taught me a lot, but it was never. I always felt like no matter what I did, I was irreplaceable tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yep.
I don't want that for my children. I mean, they're probably gonna go through it eventually at some point, no matter what.
Yeah.
But I want them to know that this is the way I think of it. If you played sports in high school or middle school or anything like that, and you played an individual sport like wrestling, right? If you wrestle, if you lose that match, that's your fault.
Right.
If
Yeah.
you win that match, that's also your fault.
Yep.
If you win a baseball game, you could strike out every at bat. You can have a horrible game in the field, but you could still win.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
If you own a business and you do your own thing, if you don't put the effort into it and show up every day of the week, fail.
Right.
But if you do, only you get to feel that only you get to feel that fulfillment. It's like,
Right.
I
Yep.
did this.
Yeah.
I made this happen. This is me.
Yep.
So I want them to have that option. They don't have to take it. My boys can go do whatever they want. I chase their dreams and I'll support them for the most part.
Yeah.
With all those things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so far Tripper's been the one that's been like diving into every little thing, to the
Yeah.
hunting, to the training the dogs and all that stuff. But that's what I want for it, and that's how it started. And I also didn't like the way, as social media grew and that social media presence grew, waterfowl hunters became, I don't know how to put it nicely, they're not people I want to hang out with.
Yeah.
So I wanted to change that, and
Yeah.
luckily I met some guys like you, Nick Robin, and some other fellows that were of like-minded, and said, yeah, we're with you. We want to do the same thing.
Yep.
So when I was growing up hunting, you could ask any other hunter for help and they would help you.
Yep.
You could ask any other hunter for advice and they'd give you advice. Today's world's not that way. It's
Not at
cutthroat.
all. Yeah.
So I don't want that to be the hunting world that I leave behind.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Will I be able to touch every life on the planet? Nope. But
No.
I will go out swinging, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that when a young kid asks me for help, I help them.
Yep.
And anybody that's involved with me or Dekes Waterfowl will do the same thing. We'll help young kids. I won't help you if you're a jerk. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You can pound sand, but
Yeah.
if you're a kid looking for advice and looking for help, I will help you.
Yeah.
And I will help you learn it the right way so that you can also spread it the right way. I want kids to think not a competition. It's not about who shoots the most ducks. It's not
Right.
a kill fest. It's not about that. So I want the younger generation, the next generation, right,
Yep.
to learn the right way to do it, how to help and treat other people, so that maybe we can have enough of an impact to flip this thing on its head and go back to the old ways.
Yeah, and I think
That's the
that's
hopes.
well, and to your point, before I got in touch with you and started, becoming associated with Dekes Waterfowl, um, you as you progress in the industry, if it's something that you're really passionate about and something that you really want to get into, you can start with like the field staff, pro staff, all that kind of stuff. But like, you don't ever really feel like you're part of something. So like until I started like getting in touch with you and working with other people within Dekes, like it it's always felt like a family. And I never like I tried not to use that. I try and use it lightly and like really use it at times that I feel that way. But like when I started taking photos, like that's when you and I connected. And then like I've learned so much from you and like met people within Dekes that have like helped expand my horizons that it's been nothing but a pleasant experience. So what you're building is what I think a very positive thing. And everything that you guys post, all of your content, all of your pictures, everything is geared towards not just making piles and taking pictures of it. It's the the process, the experience, like everything outside of making piles. And like the one thing that I remember from yeah, it had to have been like 5 years ago when you said like we want to start bringing all of you guys together for Dekes like making content. And you're like, if you take pile pics, don't take them on the bed of your truck. So like I've always like that's stuck with me, and I'm like always trying to find different ways to like either pose birds if we are doing a pile pic, or like it's really like helped my mindset of taking photos in the field. And like I think that that's something that you need to hear because it's something that you've had an impact on, but like that's that's what you're creating. I think that that's a really cool thing.
I appreciate that. And I'm humbled, to be honest with you.
Well,
I that's the goal, right? That's the goal, is to change the mindset, like not only just for content, but like I don't know. I was raised really old school. My stepdad is, he's pushing 80 now, but just a firm set of values. Like you can't honor a kill, you can't honor a harvest by just throwing it in a pile. I mean,
right.
we say pile pictures, right?
Yeah.
But like throwing it in a pile and go, look at all these birds I killed.
Right. Yeah.
Like honor the process and appreciate the process before you ever appreciate the harvest, you
Right.
know? And then once you appreciate the harvest, once you do, sorry, I should go back. Once you learn to appreciate the process, the harvest becomes that much surreal, you
Right.
know?
Yep.
And if we can paint that picture, that's one of the things I like about photography is you have the ability to paint a picture for everybody else in the world to see.
Right.
And if you do a good enough job captivating that, then you'll touch people more than you will with words,
Of course.
you
Yeah.
know? And that's
Yep.
that's the generation we live in, is everybody wants to see it more
Yep.
than hear it. So if you can captivate your audience, or you can get people to pay attention by
Yeah.
capturing that process, or then you capture the harvest or the kill, or however people want to put it.
Right.
I don't, some people say, don't say you killed birds, say you harvested it, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, however you want to put that, if you can capture the what goes into it or what comes out of it, there's a lot more there than just, oh, look at this. And
Right.
people have been taking pictures of their dead bear or their dead deer or elk for as long as cameras existed.
Yep.
So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with capturing that memory. And I have pile pictures. I take a pile picture every time we're out.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't. I'll post them here and there. Um, More so because I like the way maybe the clouds are in the background,
Yeah.
or the sunrise, or the dog. That's what's going to get me post it before the pile picture, because I don't really care about the amount of birds.
Right.
And I get some scrutiny that says you're an outfitting service and you never post pile pictures,
Right.
right? Because I don't want to be like you. I
Yeah.
don't. I want to change that perception, because it's not about the pile pictures for me. It's not
Right.
about the piles. And we've got a nice list of clients that are really good people, and I have the luxury of having a full-time job. So when the guys come that are only about the piles, even if we produce that pile for them, you won't come back.
Right.
I don't care how much money you offer me, you are not coming back, because I love hunting and I love all that goes into it, and you're not going to ruin that for me. And
Right.
I'm not going to help support your mindset. So if you want to come and join the process and love the process and engage in that, I'll have you all day long. And if we
Yeah.
don't shoot birds, I don't even make you pay for it. I just don't care. I
Right.
don't care. And if we shoot birds, then of course I'd like to be compensated, and then I'm going to
Right.
charge you. But there's not an outfitter out there that hasn't gone out to the field and got his ass kicked. There's not
Right.
one. So when I get my ass kicked, I just go, oh, learn something today.
Yeah.
So we'll just go with it. And I have clients that are so loyal and such good people that they understand the game and they understand the process, and they will not let me go home for free. You know,
Yeah.
and I hate it. I hate it and I love it at the same time. I love the loyalty and I love how they
Yeah.
appreciate the process. But it's like, man, I just feel like taking money from you is just theft.
Yeah.
We got our butts kicked today. It was a ton of work, but I appreciate the fact that they want to pay, and that they appreciate all that's gone into it. So
Yeah.
that's the way I like to build our business, and that's the way it's not all about money. It's not all about piles to me, and it never will be. So if you're going to involve yourself in the Dekes Waterfowl organization, or in any process of the game for me, and it's about killing, or it's about money, see your way out. You
Yeah.
know, it's I'm not there.
Well, I think it takes a lot of the stress out of it too. Like, you know that you've built a clientele that, not that you're not going to put in the work to put them on birds, but like they're in it for a different reason than somebody that's coming out from, coming for 3 days of limits, and it's like they create that stress in the blind if it doesn't happen, and then it just radiates from there.
Yep, yep. I don't like the stress of it. That's one of the reasons I really enjoy the upland stuff at the preserve, because there's no pressure. You
Right,
know,
yeah. There's birds in there. Yeah.
things gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that more, and I enjoy the clientele. A lot of it's a lot of the corporate clients. They come
Yep.
out, and there's really no expectation. It's just like I'm gonna get to shoot at a bird. That's gonna be
Yeah.
cool.
Better than sitting in
Uh,
the office.
yep.
Yeah.
And fortunately for me, I've got nice dogs, and that behave really well, and they get to see the dogs work, and they give us compliments on our dogs, and um, I don't think I've mentioned him on a podcast before, but Andrew's helped train Rip. He started his kennel this last year. It's called um, Ironside Kennels. He didn't call it kennels. Ironside Retrievers. Sorry,
Yep.
Ironside Retrievers, and he's done exceptionally well with Rip and his own dogs. Um, and Andrew started joining me on guiding waterfowl hunts several years ago, probably I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, and then last year he started joining me on the upland hunts. And the feedback that I've gotten is that people really enjoy the nice dogs.
Oh yeah.
They really enjoy it. I haven't heard any negative feedback. Well, I'm sure there's some out there, but
There always
um,
is.
yeah, we'll take the positive, and I would like to hear some negative so we can grow from it, But
Yeah.
but anyway, working those dogs and having a bird that I always know is there, it's like
Yeah.
I know there's a bird in here somewhere.
You're just waiting for either the point or that tail to start going nuts.
We got the pointers, and we got the labs that we'll take out. We take the labs out too and let them flush.
Yeah.
And it's been really good for them. So
Oh yeah.
once they're finished with their HRCH titles, then we'll probably do upland titles on those dogs, just so that they're more breedable and that people in the upland field can see their marketability as well.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
How many dogs are you up to now?
We got Remy, the original labs, and then we've got our 3 British. We got Rip, Peach, and Blue. So there's 5, and then I've got Cash, who's my white hair pointer, and then Andrew and I just went halves on another pointer because he's got Merle, who was my old setter.
Okay.
That was kind of struggling to catch on, and I didn't have time to deal with it. So I told Andrew, I will give you Merle if you can make him hunt, and we'll go from there if that doesn't happen. And he struggled at first, but Andrew helped Merle out, and Merle all of a sudden became a little badass.
Yeah.
So and then anyway, Andrew and I just split a German short hair pointer.
Okay.
That's a little bit older. But he's preserve hunted his whole life.
Okay.
So, and the owners were moving to Chicago and couldn't take him with them. So we just had him delivered on Saturday. His name's Yukon, and he's AGSP, and we're gonna add him to the lineup.
Oh, that's so cool.
But Andrew and I split him, and he's gonna live at Andrew's house most of the time.
Okay.
And Andrew's got a nice kennel system, so he'll be happy. But I haven't seen a picture of him in the kennel. I've only seen videos of him on the couch. So he's getting spoiled.
Oh, that's great.
To say the least.
Yeah. So I want to switch over and talk about some photography stuff.
Let's.
Like when you first started doing photos, like what did that look like? Was that part of your guide service, or did you just decide one day you were going to start taking a camera out with you?
Well, it was part of Dekes Waterfowl. I wanted the marketing for it.
Okay.
And I was struggling to get team members. Not that there was effort there, and they were contributing shots somewhat. But it's hard to ask somebody to give their full for free, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to ask somebody. I know what I want in my mind, and I know that the picture that I want to send out, or the message I want to send out to the public, but it's hard for me to put that behind their lens. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
I can't put my perspective behind their viewfinder. So I was like, well, like anything else, if I want it done my way, I'm gonna have to do it myself.
Yeah.
So kind of started down that road, and this is where it's led us. And it's been fun. Sometimes it's painstaking,
Yeah.
as you first learn how to shoot an auto, and you go, God, these are garbage pictures.
Yep.
And then you go, I'm gonna force myself to learn manual settings, and then you start getting there, and then you'll get that picture or 2 pictures. You're like, oh my God, that's really good.
Yeah.
And then you start dialing in your I don't know. I guess I could say I dialed in my focus, so to speak, of, okay, let me learn the lighting triangle. Let me learn these manual settings. Let me learn that if I'm going to take a picture of a dog, and I don't want any blurry feet, or I don't want any blurry actions, then I'm going to have my shutter speed at this amount. But if I want my shutter speed at this amount and it's gloomy out, then I need to back off my ISO, or I need to back off my my f-stop, or whatever,
Right.
So you learn all that stuff the hard way, really.
Yeah.
And luckily the photography culture in the outdoor industry is a little bit more forgiving.
It is. Barely, but it's noticeable. Yeah.
If you're the new guy and you don't know what the hell you're doing and you ask questions, people will answer you and people will help you.
Yes.
Once you know what you're doing and people are compensating you for it,
Yep.
the help goes away. You know?
Yep.
I know there's some guys that are out there that are really good in the industry that helped me when I was first starting, when I'd have little stupid questions.
Yeah.
They never gave me the full answer, but they pointed me in the right direction, which was very nice.
Yeah.
But once companies started, giving me money or giving us products, or you've seen the partnerships that we have,
Yep.
that help kind of just dwindled off the cliff a little bit. So
Yeah.
now it's the point of don't bother asking questions because
Yeah.
you're not gonna get a response.
When you started learning the fundamentals and the techniques and stuff of photography, did you how did you learn that? Did you go through YouTube or did you just do it all in the field?
YouTube,
Okay.
how to set my camera up came from YouTube, right? And then after I got my camera thing, so I shoot a Nikon D850, and what I looked for, I remember I searched for birds in flight Nikon D850, and there's a guy that used to shoot Nikon all the time. His name, I think it's Mark Smith,
Okay.
and I think he's shooting Sony now, but he had a plethora of Nikon how-to videos,
Okay.
from the D500 to the D850, and I found a D850 video from him that talks about how he sets his camera up and then why he sets it that way.
Okay.
Right? So I set my camera up that way. It remains that way today. And
Ain't
anybody
broke,
that
don't
asks
fix
me,
it.
yep. If anybody that asks me for, now I make changes now that I know what I'm doing more.
Right.
But when I'm done, the settings go back, right? Because I
Okay.
know what those settings are.
Yeah.
I know my starting point. That's where they stay. And anybody that asks me for help, I send them that video. And I say, this is where you start. Set your D850 up this way. You can buy a Canon, you can buy a Sony, you can buy whatever you want.
Right.
All those cameras are awesome, but I don't know how to work them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Want my help? Buy a D850 and I'll give you every tip I have.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the Nikons, the Z6 that you had, and you have
Yeah.
a Z7 now, right?
No, I have the Z. We've gone off the deep end. I have a
Okay.
Z6, Z6 II, a Z50, and I just bought the Z30.
Okay. But you don't have the Z9 yet?
Dude, that's like $4,500 for the body. I mean, I'll say this. I will probably end up with one.
Okay.
But I don't need one. That's the
Well,
thing.
that's what I said too. So we'll go off that deep in later. But anyway, I can help with most Nikon settings because they're pretty similar.
Yeah, from yours to mine, it's very similar. It's just the stuff that pertains to the mirrorless sensor that's different.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I don't shoot a mirrorless, but from what I understand, seeing your lens finder as an image. Is that correct?
Correct. So it's the same. It's like on so your D850, what you would see on the back screen would be what your picture is. It's the same thing. Like my electronic viewfinder and my screen are the same thing.
Okay, and that's not it for the 850.
Right.
The 850, I only see the viewfinder, and I don't use the back screen because it bogs down the camera just enough that I don't like it.
Yep.
What people don't know and what they'll learn later on, maybe possibly if they go down this road, is the D850 to date has still got the highest quality photos.
Correct.
Right. As far as what you can get on for resolution.
Yep.
And once you get that one picture with that perfect resolution,
yeah,
everything else is trash.
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So when I edit photos, I get and I edit on a nice big Apple monitor.
Yep.
Right. if I see grain at all, I'm just like, nope, doesn't make the cut.
Yeah.
Doesn't make the cut. And I don't even edit them, or maybe I'll edit them because it's like, okay, once I drop it down to a JPEG and put it on a social media account, that maybe somebody else will like it. I don't like it because I know what's there.
Right.
And some people just absolutely love it. I got a picture of one of Andrew's Chesapeake from a couple weeks ago, and it was a far-fetched photo. The lighting wasn't right. Everything was trash. But when I was editing the pictures, I mean, I took them anyway. I was like, well, I'm here.
See what I can do, yeah.
Yeah. So when I took the pictures from the big, normal, raw photo, I was like, man, I love Willow's stance right there, that burner mouth. Let me crop it down and see what I get. And I'm like, when I get the angle I want, when I get the depth I want, it's a little bit grainy.
Yeah.
And I have to talk myself off that ledge and go, it'll be okay, Travis. Just calm down.
Yeah.
You know, don't throw it to the wayside yet. And I edited it, and I was like, man, it looks pretty sweet if it's just a thumbnail, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I sent it to Andrew, and he was like, oh my God, that picture's badass. You know, like it is, but
it's like it's the blessing and the curse of being a photographer is like you see every imperfection in a photo, so you're more prone to fixing it and like making it dynamite.
Yep.
But like you could take a crap photo and like, I mean, like a perfect instance, like I took this photo when our dove opener like 3 weeks ago. And my buddy Brian, who was on the first episode of this season, he was walking back with his dog, and he's got a shotgun in one hand, his dog's heeling next to him, and he's got this dove in his hand. And I had my Z50, and I just happened to hip shot a photo, and like it was so bright out I couldn't see anything. So I'm like, I think it was in focus, like just maybe. So like I got it back, and I'm like, it is just like that little bit out of focus. And I'm like, I can't give him this picture. And then I'm like, but what can I do so that I can at least give it to him, because he's an hour from me. I drove out there, like I don't see him all the time. So I'm like, this would be a cool photo. So I edited it as like a vintage photo, so that it would be like you would expect it to be a little grainy and like a little out of focus.
Yep.
And I gave it to him, and he was like over the moon about it. And I'm like, but like I personally, like I can see what's wrong with it.
Yep.
And it just bugged me.
Black and whites will hide a lot of imperfections.
Exactly. So I was like, it's like black and white, and then I warmed it up a little bit, like it would be like a yellowed out like black and white photo from like back in the day. It turned out really cool, but like it was gonna be one of those like pictures that was just gonna go right in the trash. Like I was not even edit it, like delete out of Lightroom, see you later.
I've learned that as long as it's okay, let's say okay.
Yeah.
Okay by, I take my pictures, I'm probably the worst critic. When you take your pictures, you're probably the worst critic. So when it's okay by my standards for my own pictures, I've learned to edit. You know, when you take pictures, you take a sequence of pictures for that one thing. So you might have 20 pictures for this one event.
Yeah.
So I'll take the best picture out of that, no matter what it looks like, and try to edit it.
Yep.
And if it turns out okay, I keep it.
Yes. Yep. I'm the same way.
Will I ever post it?
Right.
You know, and I will drop them into the drop boxes for some of the clients that we have, you know. And I'm amazed at some of the pictures that they post because they like them.
Yeah.
And I go, that is out of all the crap I sent you, that's the one you picked. You know?
It's crazy.
Stuff that I like, you know, because they are high quality pictures.
Right.
Like I like this one for the depth, the quality, the story behind it, like all of that. I love it for all those reasons. And you picked the trash one. Like, what is wrong with you people? You know,
right.
But that's the cool thing about photography is every image is somebody else's perspective, and their perception is their reality. And when they see something that tells them a story, even if that's not the story that was taking place when you took that picture, you know. So if they like something, it's because it told them a story, probably, you know, or because something looks really cool, but most likely because they're putting themselves in that position and they're going, oh, you know, I love this picture because I'm there, you know, for whatever reason I'm there, or that triggered a memory that they have or whatever else. So it's really cool to you know, I send Andrew a group of pictures. So Andrew and I have a deal where I don't pay for him to train rip, right? Um, I pay for him with my photography.
Got it. Yep.
So Andrew gets pictures of his dogs working and stuff like that, and I'll send him a slew of pictures, and I'll have a favorite. You always have a favorite.
Yeah.
And I send him a picture, and he posts them. Like, why that one? You know, that one's my favorite. Why? You know?
Yeah.
Because that picture tells him a different story. You know?
Of course. Yep.
Or that picture means something different than him than what it meant to me at the same time. I've got a picture of Andrew with his. I can't show you because it's on my phone. With Andrew and his Chesapeake, and it's a high quality photo, and he's on the bucket in a hunt test, and his Chesapeake is the honor dog, and he's looking at her and she's looking up at him, and you can see the connection from our perspective.
Right.
You can see the connection. Like Andrew's how would I say? He's a little rough around the edges, you know what I mean? So when his dogs aren't performing, he's very cynical of them, you know, because they're his, and he wants them to be the best in the world.
Right.
Willow, whose Chesapeake, has some defining characteristics that make her such a pain in the butt to deal with. But Andrew and her have a connection that most people don't understand, and most people will never see. But I get to see it behind the lens. I get to capture those moments as I'm hitting that shutter over and over and over again. And I put them on the big screen and I edit them and I go, this is the connection that I like to see. And I don't even know if Andrew understands it sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he understands the connection that I'm seeing there.
Yeah.
So I don't expect the audience to understand it either. What I know is that Andrew took what he felt as a connection in the photographs, and that's what he's posting first. Versus what I felt the connection as and what I would post first.
Right.
And some of them I just don't post because I allow him to have that satisfaction of like, okay, you post those pictures, you know, for his right inside retrievers, I want him to have the ability to market that without me throwing it out there first. But I would like to. There's some pictures I'd like to post. There's some pictures that we've done for other companies that we can't post, and I'm like, post it right now, post it right now. And I never post it, you know.
I've had that before. Like, what's been really cool about being a part of Dekes Waterfowl is like, it's almost become like a media house. Like, these companies really do like come to not just you, but like even to me, which blows my mind because I'm a part of your guys's you know, this family of Dekes Waterfowl. And like it's really cool to see like where it's progressed as far as like just from posting photos on social media to like where these now companies are coming to you, to me, for content. And like it's just come such a far ways. And I've taken photos that I thought were just absolute bangers. And I'm like, they're gonna love this. They've never seen the light of day.
Never seen the light of day.
And I'm like, why? Like, now I want to post them, but like you said, like you can't. And it just it irks me so bad. I see them on my computer and I'm like, I have them on my phone to show people, but I'm like, man, like what are they not seeing in this photo?
Yeah. I think it's because one, we get emotionally attached to it a little bit. There's some sentimental value.
100%, yeah.
You know, and then as photographers, we pick ourselves apart. You know, so we know when it's just a quality photo, but maybe that doesn't resonate with them as well as it does with us, you know?
Yeah.
So we have to be open-minded to that, but at the same time, it still takes a little piece out of you, you know, knowing that like it's there,
Yeah.
throw it out there for the world to see.
Yeah.
Being a photographer, your own worst critic.
Yep.
You're a critic of every photo that hits the mainstream media, right? You're like
100%.
Photoshop,
Yeah.
clouds aren't real, you know.
Yeah.
I can pick that apart, you know, and most guys that are in the industry can pick that apart too.
Yes.
But the average Joe can't, you know.
Right.
And that's okay, you know. But at the same time, it's like I hate Photoshop.
Yeah.
One, because it just takes too long. I think I have 3 photos that I've done in Photoshop that I'm very proud of and will keep forever, and one of them will go on the wall eventually. But I just can't do it with it. I can
Takes way
stroke,
too long.
Yeah, I can stroke and paint. It's nice, but something happened, but it's good. But I won't spend the time in Photoshop. I have one picture that I took where I made it look like it was raining,
Okay.
and it wasn't raining.
Yeah.
I made it look like there was water running down my daughter's hair, down her hand, because of the rain.
Yeah.
You would never know looking at that picture that it wasn't raining that day, but I just can't stand the amount of time it took,
Right.
and it takes away. Rain doesn't, but like some of that stuff just takes away from the story a little bit, you know, to me.
Yeah.
So I struggle with it. At the same time, I also appreciate what it can do to a photo.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
that's my favorite picture of my daughter to date, and I don't even have it on the wall yet, but I will
Yeah.
eventually. I'll put it on a piece of metal and it'll go on the wall. But you know, seeing stuff like that transpire is cool. But Photoshop just to circle back, you can pick that crap apart. You
Yeah.
can, as a photographer and someone that edits photos, you can go, yeah, it's photoshopped. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got some heavy filters on it. This,
Yep.
that, or the other thing, you know.
My big
And then
thing is telling the difference between like a cell phone photo and a DSLR mirrorless photo. Like people don't understand, especially even with video. Video especially because iPhone video is so compressed compared to like what I'm taking on my cameras that like I can tell instantly. As soon as somebody shows me or if I'm watching YouTube, I can tell instantly when somebody's using an iPhone video. And it's funny because on my YouTube channel, like I would say probably 30% of my B-roll is on my phone. And like even I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice adding in iPhone video, knowing that I have this very expensive camera in my hands, like at my leisure. But like they always say that the best camera you have is the one on you. So it's really difficult to like,
it is.
you know, it's tough.
I think there's a really good photographer, old photographer out of Texas named Wyman Mentor.
Okay.
Wyman Mentor, I think it's his name. Look at his stuff. It's old school, but he says the same thing. You know, like don't overthink the camera stuff. You know, just capture the moment. A lot of our videos stuff is done with the camera, but there's some cell phone stuff in there.
Yeah.
And Dakota, who owns Drake Media and Drake Outdoors,
Yep.
He bought a little a DJI thing for your phone, a gimbal.
Yep.
And it takes phenomenal videos.
Yep.
With the stabilizer, enough that I bought one too. You know.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it. I bought it with the intention of using it for like little clips of training the dogs and stuff.
Yeah.
For that marketability later on down the road, you know, because eventually that's where we'll go. But I haven't used it for that a whole lot. I just got it. I got it for Christmas last year. So, but eventually I'll go with it. But we took some video with his with the snow goose hunt that we did last year, And then he's got a turkey hunt that he filmed almost predominantly with that, I think.
Really?
And you know, because I've asked him like, this image right here, like I'll pause the video and be like, this is an image. Like, what did you film this with? He's like, with my iPhone.
Yeah.
You know. So you put that little gimbal on there, and you can do some different stuff with it. It's like,
Oh yeah.
wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
The DJI app and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's amazing what anything can do. So I would say for anybody that wants to start with photography, don't be afraid to start with your iPhone.
Oh, definitely not. Yeah.
Necessarily the quality that's going to get you. It's the story you're telling. So if
Right.
you're going to give people a different story than they're used to reading, I guess you would say.
Yes.
So
yeah.
don't stand here in upright position taking a picture of something, because everybody does that.
Right. Yeah.
Get your, I'll say it politically correct, get your belly in the dirt, you know. Lay
Yeah.
down on your belly and give it a different angle. You know,
Yep.
climb up on a ladder, up on the truck, and give it a different angle.
Yeah.
Do something different. You know, I want, if people watch our pages, they'll know that I've really focused more on the dogs than anything.
Yes.
And I'll lay on my belly so I can capture the same scene that the dog is capturing at his eye view, you know. And I want to see the dog's eyes. I want that story to resonate with people with what's that dog seeing, what's that dog feeling, what's that dog doing. That's what I want to see, and that's what I want the whole world to see, because dogs will always be man's best friend, you know.
Oh yeah.
So if you can see what the dogs are doing and you can understand that, and that can resonate with you, you know, that's special.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that are trying to, like, I mean, they want to get into it, and like you said, the easiest thing you can do is switch up your angles, you know, add some foreground, check your backgrounds, make sure you're using the creative part of your brain. And that took a while for me to tap into. Like, I'd take these pictures and I was just like, this is just bland.
Yep.
And then, like, through you and like other people that I've connected with, like, you start to see things in other people's photos that you really like, and you start to incorporate them yourself. And that's how you come up with your style.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing, is just finding a style that you enjoy, that captures your eye and like gets you going and makes you want to go out and take more photos.
100%. 100%. And it's hard for people to, I mean, it can be intimidating, right? You see these guys that are putting out these amazing photos and these amazing captures, and I still don't consider myself one of those guys that people go, oh my God, look at this person, you know, look at that person, you know. Eventually I'd like to be there, but I don't consider myself that. And, you know, I try to be, and then I'll see something that they do, and I'm like, I want to create that my own way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to put my flair on it. I want to put I want it to be a Travis image, you know? So
Yes.
I would like for when people scroll through social media, they go, that's got to be a Travis picture, you know? Let me look that up, you know? So
I know it before I even get to it. As soon as I see the picture, I don't even have to scroll back up. I know exactly what that was.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want, you know?
Yeah.
So, how you do that is completely up to you. How you interpret that is completely up to you.
Right.
How you edit is completely up to you. But the fundamentals are learn lighting first, learn the lighting triangle, and then I've heard this advice from many people, and I never even thought about it. Like, it was kind of, I'm not gonna say natural to me. I just kind of always wanted to change the perspective of the picture from day one.
Right.
So I've always gotten it, I guess. But foreground, subject, background.
Yep.
If you can incorporate those three, you know, that will help you make images, you know?
Yep.
So sometimes I never even thought about that. It just was just part of the process. And now that I hear it more often than not from some of these really, really good photographers, like, oh yeah, of course that makes sense, you know? Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Hindsight,
you know?
yeah. I was always doing that, yeah.
foreground, subject, background, and I am a sucker for overcast skies.
Yes.
Know? I'm a sucker for them. If the sun's out and there's no skies, there's no clouds, I don't even want to take the camera out.
It makes images so tough. They're so harsh.
Yep.
The
Yep.
overcast is like the natural diffuser, and it makes that all the light really soft, and it spreads it evenly. But like you also get that like that moodiness.
Yes.
Like you can bring in those clouds, and like it just like really. I think a lot of people, when you're scrolling through like Instagram or something, like you always see not just like in the waterfowl world, but like in just photography in general. Everybody likes bright, light, airy, whatever the case may be. But then like as you're scrolling through, the one picture that you're gonna pick out is that like moody picture that always
100%.
catches people's eyes.
Yep.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
then like, no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say like just the the harsh light, it just like it makes editing more difficult. It makes the photos just don't pop the same. Like yeah, you can
No.
have a really nice like sunset, but even that's gonna be soft light. Like you're talking
Yeah.
like noon, bluebird skies, harsh sun. Your photos just aren't gonna be what you want them to be.
And and shadows are hell at that point.
Exactly.
Where I can edit, I can draw shadows out of an overcast day.
Yep.
Um, I can't draw them out to some extent when the sun's just always on them. Always
Right.
on that subject.
Yep. It's
And
tough.
I don't know if anybody notices this, but I don't own a black lab, and there's a reason for it. It's hard to draw that light out.
I know. Tell me
So
about it.
yeah, black cars. It's all the same way. So
Yep.
there's a reason I own yellow labs, and we have one chocolate, but uh, there's a reason I own yellow labs, and there's a reason I own box red labs, I guess you
Yep.
say to speak. Because it offers that different tone, and when you put Rip behind a camera, he looks amazing.
Oh yeah.
Like Dekes looks amazing. I can draw every hair fiber out of them if I want to. You
Yes.
know, and to do that with the black lab, I can do it, but things have to align correctly to be able to
Yeah.
do that. I don't have to have anything align correctly to get a good picture on a Rip or
Right.
Dekes.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's been a tough thing for me, but I just instead of the thing that I do to compensate for that is instead of only taking like 1,000 pictures, I take 10,000 and then I have more to pick from.
there you go. You got some amazing pictures of Boomer.
I appreciate it. It's to be honest with you, probably 95% of them have been on overcast days that I can bring in more light, because if I'm shooting in like a really really harsh light, I have to have my shutter speed up cranked, and it takes all the light out of the subject to try and bring down the ambient light around the subject so it's not all blown out. And that's been a tough thing. But generally around here in like waterfowl season, we don't have a lot of like bluebird days. And if we
Right.
do, we're generally not hunting them.
Yeah, I've learned that when I first started this, I wanted to capture birds flying, and I
Yep.
got a couple of good pictures of birds flying. Um, so that's where and then I get frustrated because not bright enough to capture those details with the shutter speed up high enough
Yeah.
to get a really good picture. Most of the time when you're hunting, right?
Yep.
There are times, but there are those times the shooting's so good that you don't get the camera out, because it's like
Yeah.
it's just hot.
Yep.
So that was frustrating at first. And then I learned that it wasn't really about the pictures of the birds landing the decoys.
Yeah.
Although those are cool to date, and I'd still like to take them, it's more about the process,
Yep.
So birds landing in the decoys are, I guess, part of the process, but they're not the heart and soul in the process,
Right.
So the worrying about the gloomy days, like I used to not want to bring the camera out when it was really gloomy because I couldn't get birds.
Yeah.
Now it's like, hell yeah, it's gloomy.
Yeah.
Now
That's what you want. Yeah.
Now, give me that overcast. Give me all that nonsense. Let that sun peek through it just a little bit. Give me those beautiful sunrises with the pink sky.
Yeah.
I think I posted a picture of a hunt last year when Nick and Paul and Taylor came to visit.
Yeah.
and it was a cell phone picture because I forgot my camera.
Yeah.
You know, I was just so busy. Like, that's a whole different story. But I have these little mannerisms. Like, if I'm going to take the camera, it has to be by the front door when I go out the door.
Got
it. Everything has to be loaded in the truck, and everything has to be just a certain way. And that's my life. Like, it's really stupid. Like, if my hat and my wallet and my key are not in the same place every morning, then I'm just not taking one of those items because I'll forget it, So it's the same thing with the camera. If it's not in the same place as I would usually put it, then I'll walk out the door and forget it.
Yeah.
So I forgot my camera, and we took iPhone pictures, and some of those iPhone pictures were phenomenal, but they would capture that sunrise, that pink sky, that pink and a little bit of orange.
Yep.
Oh my God. Every time it does that and I don't have my camera, I want to just punch myself in the face, repeatedly.
I've been there. Yeah, plenty of times.
It's amazing what you can do with those overcast skies, those gloomy days. You can do so much with them. I took that picture last year. I didn't post it for a long time. I think I've got it on one of either my personal feed or on the Dekes feed. And it's a Paul holding a cell phone. He's on his cell phone, and he's got the light from the cell phone, but it's got pink skies in the background and the sunrise coming out.
Oh, okay.
And
that'd be sweet.
It's a great photo, but I didn't post it for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just a little too grainy for me, But when you see it if you see it on Instagram or something, you don't really tell. You can't tell that. I can only see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
So it frustrated me, and I was like, I love this photo, but I hate this photo.
Yeah.
I'm not posting it, And then I got another picture of I posted one of a hunt in Idaho with the gateway hunt that we did, and David's in the foreground, and it's silhouetted, and in the background is just these purple sky, and you can see the silhouettes of the ducks coming in on the hunt of a lifetime. Let me tell you. But when I look at it on the big screen, it's grainy. I hate it. But when I put it on Instagram, it's like, this looks pretty darn
perfect.
good.
Yeah, the compression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get frustrated, but at the same time, it's fulfilling to see that when you put it on Instagram or on Facebook, that it'll turn out all right. And it'll be okay, little buddy.
Yeah.
It'll be okay. It's okay.
Yeah, you're not the only one doing it.
Out.
Right.
Yeah. So.
When you look back at like when you first started doing photography and like seeing the progression of it, like at what point did you start to see that more companies were interested in your talents than and like moving forward, working with more companies? Like at what point did you see that start to change?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a tough question. I know that once I invested in the good camera and went from iPhone pictures to real pictures, and once I invested into I actually got on my own head and said, I'm no longer gonna be like, I'm no longer gonna do pile pictures. I'm going to try and I post them still, but
yeah,
I want to try and focus on the process, and I want to try to caption the pictures to where my heart's into it. Once I did that and was able to do that, then I was on board. Then companies started getting on board, I should say.
Yeah.
Once the company started getting on board, I was like, oh, okay, this is resonating with somebody. And then we did a hunt with the client, and he'll probably know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say that loud because I don't want to go his head.
Yeah.
But we were out with them, and we did the first day's hunt, and we took some pictures, and we sat down and had a conversation at dinner, and he said, "Man, Travis, I've been a fan of yours before we ever worked together." And I was like, "Me?"
Yeah.
You're a fan of mine? That's cool. Like inside I was a little giddy schoolgirl, like that, that meant the world to me. But to him I don't know what the fuck he was thinking to say something like that to me, but it felt amazing,
Right.
Once that happened, I was like, okay, I think I got this down. I think I got it right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, after that took place, COVID took place, and that was just deflating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our online sales went like this
Yeah.
during COVID, and I had to put more energy into my full time job so that I could
Right.
make that income, um, versus what I do on my 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 personal business.
Right. Yeah.
It just couldn't produce to where I needed it to. So I lost focus for a little bit and wasn't able to put that back in. Now I'm just trying to figure out how can I ensure that never happens again? How
Right.
can I ensure that I'm not relying on online sales to make this thing turn?
Right.
Because the worst nightmare a father has is handing this company over to his children and having another pandemic of whatever sort
Right.
fall on them and them not be able to handle it.
Right.
So how do I make that not a thing?
Yeah.
And so apparently online sales suffer when nobody has any money. I don't know if you know that or not.
Oh, that's an interesting concept.
Right? So how do we figure that out? So companies will still market and stuff like that. So I still had the photo contracts. I still
Yeah.
had stuff like that. People still love their dogs, even though I'm a firm believer, and I think a lot of breeders are, that the pandemic also hurt the dog industry
Yeah.
because everybody and their brother became a breeder in the
Yeah.
backyard.
Yeah.
I joke about it because you used to see litters on these Facebook groups pop up,
Right.
and anytime somebody would post a litter, people would eat them alive for where's the DNA testing, where's the
Yeah.
OFA testing. Great questions, great things to
The real
eliminate.
questions.
Yeah, eliminate the junk breedings, and people would eat them alive, eat you alive. And then I noticed once the pandemic happened, now even to date, if someone goes into those same groups where you would typically be eaten alive and post a litter of junk dogs, I shouldn't say junk dogs, that's not fair, but something that doesn't have a pedigree, something that doesn't have health testing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nobody bats an eye.
Unregistered.
Yep, people just fork over the money.
Yeah. They're like, where are you located?
Yep, but if you post a litter for sale from some very prestigious breeders,
Right.
and I consider myself a beginner. So some people that have really, really, really proven dogs with great pedigrees and everything else, people go, that's too much.
Yeah.
But you're gonna go buy something that has, that might have bad hips and elbows right out of
Right.
the womb,
Yeah.
and you don't even know.
Yeah.
Throw, $650 at that dog, which is probably not even a thing anymore. I think people pay like $800 for a junk dog that
Right.
maybe
Yeah.
not even registered,
Yeah.
So there's no such thing as a junk dog, just so people hear that and understand. But there's, you know what I'm saying.
Right.
It's frustrating. So I can see how the pandemic took a toll on that market as well, or
Yeah.
on that world. It's interesting. So how do we start over and redeliver with the things that I'm still passionate about,
Right.
but I'm not handing over this thing to the children,
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what it turns out to be. It doesn't have to be anything. I could retire from my job at a decent age and make plenty of money doing that.
Yeah.
But it's not for me,
Right.
So so far the kid Tripper's taken the most interest, and he does a good job with it, He's still getting, I'll brag about him a little bit. I looked at his grades today, and he's getting straight A's, and he plays football, and he comes home and trains his dog. He does his chores, and he's just easy.
Yeah.
You know, he's like the easiest kid ever.
It's a well-bred kid.
Yeah, that's what it is. Breeding. So, and my other kids are, I mean, they're great too. They just haven't taken to the business as much as he has.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So their interests are where most teenage kids' interests are.
Right.
Because they're just like, oh, you're into this, you know,
Yeah.
perfect. You
Yeah.
want to help with the dogs, perfect. You know.
Right.
And some of it's by his own accord, and some of it's by default. Like, okay, I don't have anybody help me. You're helping today.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. So, oh God, you know.
It's the old you hold the flashlight for dad type of situation.
Oh,
When
it's
he's working on a
100%
car,
Yoda.
yeah. But it's
Yeah.
just dogs with you instead.
Dogs or whatever else, you know. Dakota actually likes the photography side of it a little bit, you know.
Okay.
When we go out there and we're hunting and I'm busy running the dogs, he'll pick up the camera on his own. But can I take pictures?
Yeah.
Go for it, you know. And he's gotten some really good pictures, you know. There's a picture of me receiving deeks back from a retrieve in a field, and so you can see this. It's early in the morning, so you can see the sky, and I'm almost a silhouette, and Deeks is almost a silhouette, and he's just sitting next to me, and I'm looking down at him. And Dakota took that picture, you know. So, and it's
That's
a
crazy.
little grainy because of the lighting, but it's one of my favorite pictures because I know the story behind it.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
I know he picked up the camera and he took that picture, you know, and he was, I want to say 13, maybe 14 years old, you know,
It's crazy.
and I love it, you know. So it's
I think
one
it's
of the
one of those
ones that,
things too that like he sees the amount of like engagement in your guys' pictures and like the effort that you put into them, and like that goes a long way, I think. Especially when you're molding kids at like a teenage age, you know.
yeah, I hope that's the case. He's a social media junkie anyway because he's a little gamer, you know.
Got it. Yep.
So he really likes, and he's retarded good at it, you know. But he likes the engagement that he gets from that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, you can do this stuff. And I
Yeah.
think one of our TikTok videos had like, I'm not good at TikTok. I'm too old for that crap, but I'm still learning it. And it had like 200,000 viewings. You know, he's like, "Oh my god, dude, that thing's viral."
Yeah.
It's a video.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It doesn't make as much sense to you. You're just like,
No, it's like,
whatever. Yeah.
what happened was somebody overseas did or shared it or something, and maybe then it
Okay.
boomed. I don't know. I don't even know
Yeah.
what happened. I couldn't tell you. Hit the algorithm just right, and it just went off. You know?
Exactly. That's all it
So,
needs. It just needs a little
yep,
bit of algorithm to ride it, and you're good to go.
yeah. How do you get that every time? Beats me.
Couldn't
I
tell
don't
you.
even care. You know, I want to put our world out there for everybody else to see, and maybe they can jump
Yeah.
on board, maybe they can't. You know,
Right.
so you know, if you put that into perspective from where we started the business, if I touch one kid's life a year, you
Right.
know, we're making progress.
Yep.
So if one kid goes, oh, we can do it this way, and we can have a positive impact on other people's lives, and we can have
Yep.
a positive impact on the industry. If I can do that to one kid a year, I've made an impact.
Yep.
You know, so I'll start with that.
Yeah.
And then luckily, you know, through all this, through this thing called Dekes Waterfowl and the partnerships we've made and the friends we've made, you know, we've been able to meet people like you and like Nick and like you know, Andrew and everybody else that has said, I think that's cool. I want to be part of that, you
Yep.
know. And I know I didn't mention everybody on the team, but there's some. Let me say this: if you're not a great person, you're not on the team, you
Right.
know. And I have no room for anything in between or anything other than what is awesome, you know. If you're not part of the big picture, you're not a part of it at all.
Right.
I just really want to change the industry so much that if you can't get on board with being part of the process, that you're not part of the team, you know.
Yeah.
So luckily we've been able to bring in the right people, and even when it's been slow since COVID hit, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, the guys that are part of the team are friends. You know,
Yeah.
you're a friend, Nick's a friend, Paul's a friend, Jacob's a friend. You know,
Yeah.
all these guys are friends, and it became, you know, something that, oh, you're part of the industry. To I make that 3 hour drive to Jacob's 40th birthday just so I can be
Right.
there as his friend. You know,
Yeah.
it's no longer a business thing. You
Yeah.
know, it's something special.
Yeah. And I believe it. I believe it too. Just seeing it firsthand, like you've created something special, but it's also like become such a cool networking thing. Like I talked to Dalton and they're down in Mississippi. Like it's just like,
He's
you know
so
what I mean?
hilarious.
It's he's hysterical. But like you're on the West Coast, like I'm in Ohio, there's just like we're everywhere. But it's
Mm-hmm.
cool to like be able to connect with people that are like-minded, that like you said are trying their best to like incorporate positivity into the sport, where there really just has become a like massive decline in positivity. Like everybody is at each other's throats for no reason whatsoever. It's just
Yeah.
everybody has to be the best for no reason. And I don't like that. Like I try, like you said, if there's one person that I can help any at any point, like I'm always going to help that person. There's people that I don't have a huge following by any means, but like my videos reach people or like my photos reach people, and they'll reach out to me and they ask me questions. They ask me about diver hunting. They ask me about photography. They ask me about making videos or whatever. There's no reason for me to be a jerk to them, so I'm not going to be.
Right.
But
Yeah.
there's
Someone's got to
just
give me
that
that reason.
much. Yeah, like there's definitely people that it's warranted to, but at the same time, like instead of me like clapping back at them, I just don't say anything. I'm just like, you
Right.
know what? Like that's not even worth my time. My silence is going to be more detrimental to this person than anything else. Like then it's just going to become a you know name calling, whatever. Like I just don't need it in my life. I don't
Yep.
need the
To what
stress.
end?
So like yeah, it's just gonna keep going and nobody wins. So it's just like if I just
Yep.
don't say anything to you, then you're just not that important to me.
Yep. Straight up.
So it's become a really, really tough thing for waterfowl, and it's really unfortunate. But it's great that there's people like you that have influence. There's people that have just as much, if not more, influence. They're also trying to incorporate that. But then there's also just the internet. And it's just going to
Yeah.
be tough to battle the internet.
Yeah. It'll always be tough to battle the internet until there's a lot more people that think like us that are afraid to say it. You know what I mean? There's a lot more people
Absolutely.
out there that are like, man, I'm tired of this crap. I'm tired. You know, and it's funny because those guys that are out there that have the loudest voice are nobody. You know what I
Right.
mean? They're and as far as I'm concerned, or anybody that is probably in my circle, the louder you squeal, you know, less of a person you are, really. Like
Right. Yeah.
keep balking because I'm not listening to it, and nobody really cares.
Right.
Um, the guys that I really look up to in the industry don't say anything at all.
Right.
They're just producing.
Yep.
They're just those guys that are getting it.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I like that.
Yeah.
And most of them are really positive people. Like
Yeah.
if you're so busy worried about what other people are doing, you're not even putting your effort in the right place anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, instead of worrying about what everybody else is doing on social media and getting in those forums and picking on people,
Yeah.
how about you put a little effort into what you're doing?
Right.
How about you put a little effort? Why don't you put your money where your mouth, or put your mouth where your, I don't know, wherever it is, but they're good at using their mouth and not their
Yeah.
brain. Um, put that to work in a positive manner and see what
Right.
comes of it. You know what I mean? See what kind of light you shine on people. Then it's a
Right.
different world when you quit being a selfish prick, you
Yeah.
know, and start putting
Absolutely.
some other people first. So,
Yeah.
or a goal first, or a common interest first.
Yep.
Put something first besides your own ego and see what
Yeah.
comes out of it.
It's
It's pretty
the
special.
ego. The ego
Yep.
is the biggest thing. And like when you know, we've through this, you know, photography, just this network, we've met some people in the industry or like companies, people of companies that they're the nicest people. Like
Mhm.
you meet people that are running these companies or like higher ups in these companies, and like waterfowl itself isn't a huge industry as it is, but like they're rarely jerks to you.
No, they're good people.
Exactly.
You know, I've met some of the most successful people in my life guiding upland hunts and guiding waterfowl hunts that you would never know just how big they are, you
Right.
know, because they don't even tell you.
Yeah.
Somebody else in the group has to say something, you know.
Like, you know,
I've
this
got a
guy is blah blah blah. Yeah.
yeah, I've got a client that's accomplished some great things, and I never knew it for the first 2 years I hunted with them. So like the third year, we all went out to dinner, and I said, "Man, what do you even do? You know,
Yeah.
it's hunted with you 3 or 4 times, and I don't even know what you do. You know." And then his buddy's like, "Well, he's pretty special. Don't you know who he is? You know?" Like, no, tell me about it, because he's not saying anything. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
and then once the conversation started, that guy, and I'm not gonna mention any names or anything like that, is just he's so modest. He's like, "Oh, stop. You know, no,
Right.
it's no big deal. I just get, you know, whatever."
Yeah.
And it's like, holy crap,
Yeah.
you're a wizard. You know, you're an amazing. You know what you've done in your life is huge,
Right.
but you've never even talked about it. You know,
Exactly.
now I've hunted with you 4 or 5 times and you've never said a dang word. You
That's
know,
crazy.
so those are the people that you want to be around.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to close out the podcast, I always ask somebody this question, and I don't know if you know what's coming or not, but if you could pick up another hobby, what would you pick up?
Too many hobbies. It's fitting. Um, Golly, that is a tough question. I think if I could pick up one hobby right now, and it's not even picking up, it's just going back to it. I'd go back to doing some big game hunting.
Okay.
Um, just because of the memories that I have
Yeah.
with my stepdad who's taught me how to hunt from ground zero all the way up, you know, and taught me some of the old school beliefs that I still firmly believe in, and some of the stuff that our company's built around, you know.
Yeah.
Um, those were all founded because he was never a waterfowl hunter ever, you know. He just didn't like it. But those were all built and ingrained into me from him, from hunting big game and from some upland hunting, you know, but never waterfowl. It's just waterfowl was my own passion.
Yeah.
So if I could go back to picking up a hobby or starting a hobby, it would be that. And just because of all that's deep inside me and deep inside my heart
Yeah.
from where I came up, uh, that's where I would go. And I would, you know, Tripper wants the big game hunt. Dakota wants the big game hunt. I just don't have the passion for it like I used to.
Right.
I don't have the time for it.
Right. Yeah.
Full-time job, business, dogs, kids. You know, you just don't have the time.
Right.
So if I could pick up one more hobby, it would be I'd go back to big game hunting, and I'd pick up the bow and arrow and teach them the way I was taught. You know,
Any
that would be
specific game?
elk.
I was gonna ask, yeah, because the one time that I've been out to that area was the only time I've ever seen elk in person, and it was wild.
They're an impressive species.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's crazy. Well, dude, I really appreciate you coming on. Anything you want to plug while you're here?
As far as anything I want to plug, things out at Horseshoe Curb Hunt Club this year. If people want to follow along,
Okay.
I'll try and keep up with the stuff that we're doing out there with on the Dekes page. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna plug anything. I want people to follow because it resonates with them. So
Yeah.
you know, if they want to follow along based off of this and based off of what they've seen in the past or what they hope to see in the future, please follow along. If they don't, then they don't. You know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, buddy. It's good to talk to you.
Absolutely.